Hey everybody, this is Heidi St. John. Thank you for joining me today at the intersection of faith and culture, coming to you live from the floor of the National Religious Broadcasters Association. Today we're going to talk about abortion in the era that is past Roe v. Wade. You guys know my position on this and my absolute joy that the Supreme Court finally reversed that disastrous and deadly decision. But the fight is far from over. We're going to have a wonderful conversation. I ran into one of my heroes in the pro-life movement. Father Frank Pavone was on the floor the other day, and I just about jumped out of my skin. I told him I'm a super fan of your work, and he's been kind enough to join me today. Stick around. I think you're going to be encouraged. All right, you guys, so thanks for tuning in today. I'm just going to jump right into this because I don't often get an opportunity like this. Father Pavone, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's an honor to have you here. I've been following your work for a long, long time, and my audience will be very familiar with your story.
Oh, yes.
So you're the founder of Priests for Life, and you've been very outspoken in your defense of the unborn and trying to see the scourge of abortion erased from, for sure, from the United States.
That's right.
But you've come under fire from the Catholic Church. So bring our audience up to speed on where it's at, because I haven't talked about this for a little while.
Well, I have insisted from the time I requested and received permission to devote myself full-time to ending abortion. That was in 1993.
Wow, okay.
So I've been doing this for 30 years full-time. I've been insisting that this is the number one issue.
It is.
And some leaders in the church don't want to hear that because they're involved in some other issues, or they know that this brings controversy and complaints. Here's another dynamic. It offends their friends who are Democrat leaders. The Democrat Party is in bed with the abortion industry.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay? Really, I mean,
from the beginning.
Worse than ever before.
Yes.
They're for unlimited abortion. It's just like no limits
and
whatsoever.
They don't care that Margaret Sanger was a eugenicist who wanted to see black people eradicated from the face of the earth.
That's right.
Et cetera, et cetera.
Really sad.
Yeah.
So we have a situation now where we've had it for, actually, I've been dealing with this for 20 years, that some church leaders try to sideline me. When nowadays we call it canceling, right? And, this has led to this decision a few months ago that, Father Frank can't be a priest anymore. And it's like, I look at them and I say, would you please stop scandalizing the faithful? If I've done something wrong, let me know what it is. But of course, they can't identify anything like that.
Well, the scandal.
But the scandal they've created. This is.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly.
This is the scandal.
So, and I've been very outspoken about our political leaders, that we have to call them to task, that we have to educate people. And the church documents tell us this. Educate voters, go to the polls, make a change that way. Again, some of them don't like it. I must emphasize some, not most, not all. I got a lot of support, continue to get a lot of support from bishops, cardinals, popes, and whatnot. Even Pope Francis has encouraged my work personally. I've met with him 5 times. So, but the point is that, they got this thing done. But you know what? It's not deterring our work. Because most of what I do, leading Priests for Life, is what we're doing now. Yeah. I'm broadcasting, I'm teaching, I'm speaking, educating, I'm publishing, I'm writing, I'm leading prayer vigils and bringing together pro-life leaders to strategize. We head up the world's largest ministry for healing after abortion. We're getting the word out, and I'm sure there's some in our listening audience right now who've been through this, and we want them to know, we who reject abortion do not reject those who've had abortions. All of this work I'm able to do, even if they're saying I'm not a priest. I'm still able to do all this.
I think it's interesting because what's happened to you as a leader in the Catholic Church is also happening in evangelical churches.
Yes.
The same thing where they view abortion as divisive, and they say, hey, don't talk about it from the pulpit. You're not allowed to address it on a Sunday morning. And I just find it's egregious. It's a stench in the nostrils of God, who loves these little ones.
Well, when are they going to realize that the gospel itself is divisive? That's why we follow a Savior who's nailed to a cross. But they think that's not divisive. You know what I say to people, Heidi? Don't be so concerned that there's division. Be concerned that you're on the right side of that division.
Yeah, that's
We've got to be on the right side of it. There's always division. Look, from the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. What did he do? He divided the light from the darkness. We see this in the first verses of the Bible. And then he created the waters, and he divided the waters above the heavens from the waters below. And then Jesus says, I have come for division. The prophet Elijah said, decide today whom you're going to serve, the Lord or Baal. And he insisted on a division. And then what happens in Matthew's Gospel, chapter 25, Jesus says at the end of time, he'll sit on his throne. All the nations will be brought before him. And what will he do? He will divide them as a shepherd separates sheep from goats. So God is a God of division. There's going to be an eternal division, those in heaven, those in hell. So it's like, don't worry about division. Worry that you're adhering to what is true, following what is right, and doing what is good.
Boy, that's good. That'll preach. I'm wanting to know if you can address the United States now in post-Roe era.
Yes.
So we've talked about this. I mean, I cried like a little girl on the day.
What a day. Unforgettable, right?
Unforgettable. We've been fighting for this for so long. I didn't think I'd live to see it in my lifetime. I'm just in my 50s, but I did not think I'd live to see it. But the fight is far from over, because really what the Supreme Court did was what they should have done all along. Recognize this is a Fifth Amendment issue. This is a states' rights issue. It should never have gone to the Supreme Court, and they kicked it back to the states, but it's still legal.
Roe v. Wade was a roadblock to the will of the people, because people were passing pro-life laws in Congress. People and their elected representatives, people were passing laws through their elected representatives in the states, and the court kept blocking and striking down these laws. Why? Oh, because Roe, it said, created a constitutional right to abortion. In Dobbs, what the court did was he said, we made a big mistake. There is no constitutional right to abortion. They didn't make abortion illegal by that decision. What they said was, you want to make it illegal? It's up to you, the people. Right. It's up to you, the people, and your elected representatives. Now, we should point out, people and their elected representatives, as the decision said, applies to every level of government. So it could be the city council. We see some cities now becoming sanctuary cities. Right.
Yes, and that's why.
That's the people and their elected representatives.
Yes.
Even school boards. How are we going to deal with the abortion issue in the schools? Then, of course, on the state level, big battles there we can talk more about. But it also still applies on the level of Congress, because in the Dobbs case, one of the most important briefs that was submitted to the court was from sitting members of Congress who were saying to the court, let us do our job. Let us legislate. We have legislated before to protect the unborn. We want to continue doing so. We don't want the court striking it down. So Congress still has a role also. So we are in a position now where the fake right to abortion that the Supreme Court said is not in the federal Constitution, the pro-abortion people want to insert that into the state constitution.
That's what they're trying.
That's a big battle, and we're involved in that right now. Ohio is a big battleground for that. Any listeners in Ohio, or if you know people from Ohio, pay attention to that. And you know why they're doing this? Because they can't make a case for abortion. The pro-abortion people know full well you cannot justify the killing of a baby.
That's right.
So what they do is they say, well, let's try to, the way we avoid having to argue abortion on its merits is that we say, oh, there's constitutional right. Well, who wants to speak against the constitutional right, right? So then they don't have to argue it on its merits. What Dobbs did, the big problem Dobbs poses for the abortion side is not that it made abortion illegal. It is that it took away their excuse for not having to make a case for abortion. And that's where it affects not only the courts, not only the legislatures. This Dobbs decision affects every conversation about abortion in America.
Well, that's what I was going to say. What it just did was it kicked it back to the churches, who've been silent for so long, because they're like, listen, it's in the Supreme Court. I don't know what we're going to do about it.
There you go.
But what Dobbs said was, nope, you get to have the conversation again.
You get to have the conversation.
You get to have it.
You get to lobby and persuade and vote. That's right.
That's right. And we can change hearts and minds, because I believe, and I'd love to hear your thought on this, but of course I live in a very liberal part of the country, a lot of pro-abortion activists, but also the pro-life lobby is extremely strong in the Pacific Northwest. But what I'm hearing over and over again is the wind is at the back of the pro-life movement right now, because of the videos that are coming out, because we're seeing, 20 weekers surviving, right? And these, and we're seeing these things. We're watching now abortions. You can access what an abortion actually does on the internet right now. And when people see the reality of it, they don't like what they see.
Well, that's a big part of my message from the beginning. I always say America will not reject abortion until America sees abortion.
That's right.
We have a special website, lookatabortion.org.
Okay.
Now, there we have not only the pictures and the videos of what an abortion is, which absolutely just horrify people.
Yeah.
But you know what we have there? It's a brand new app of the living, growing, developing human being in the womb. Brand new. We're not talking about animation, and we're not talking about ultrasound. We're talking about direct, full-color video images of the baby. I want to urge people to go. You go to look at abortion, but you see the fetal development section of that website, and you will see, you'll be able to get this app. It's called the See Baby Grow app.
I love that.
You can just look at it, get it directly from the App Store. See Baby Grow. It is, Heidi, there's no collection of imagery or of embryological facts that rivals this particular app. It's absolutely incredible.
See Baby Grow.
See Baby Grow.
Wow. I would imagine that pregnant women would love this as well.
Yes.
Right, because then they can probably look to wherever they are. I'm 16 weeks, whatever, and I can see where what my baby looks like.
It has a pregnancy tracker as part of the app.
Oh, I love that. So the grandma in me is just like, ooh, we're gonna have a lot of fun with this. But I do think so important that we not stop the conversation. I think I told you before the show that I heard President Trump the other day when someone asked him, what are you going to do about abortion? He basically said it's over.
Well,
because it was kicked because of Roe v. Wade, but it's not over, is it?
Well, no. And actually he knows that. I'm in communication with, I've been part of the Trump team,
yes.
In the elections and now, as an advisor.
You're going to help him refine his messaging?
Well, no. He understands that there is a lot to do still. And in fact, he's been saying, I'm going to propose concrete solutions if I get back into the White House that are going to help us move the ball forward. He recently did an interview. Of course, he was promoting adoption incentives.
Yes.
And
why
this is
it so hard to adopt?
Right. It shouldn't be so hard.
No,
it shouldn't be so hard. And also, if the Congress, again, the legislators have to step up to the plate. If Congress passes a limit on abortion federally, the president will sign that. If President Trump becomes president, he'll sign that. He has called on Congress multiple times to protect the rights of the child in the womb. Where that line is drawn, that's the tricky part, because people are of all different opinions about that.
Yes.
The states are of all different opinions about that. And therefore, of course, those who are representing those states have they're trying to make different calculus in their minds about how far should I go. This will get sorted out. But I can assure everybody that no matter what specifics are said, that President Trump remains committed as ever to the pro-life cause.
Good, because I think things are going to heat up because now we are having the conversations again, these important conversations. I was just over with my friend Ken Ham at the Creation Museum.
Oh, yeah.
Have you been there?
Yes.
Okay, so they have a brand new pro-life exhibit, and I don't know if you've had a chance to go see it yet, but I saw the first one, and then I was there speaking for him, I think 2 weeks ago, and I saw the latest iteration. Absolutely stunning.
This is what we need.
Yes, the image. You walk through. Yes, you walk through. You can hear the baby's heartbeat. He said, Heidi, when does life begin? I said, at conception. He said, no, we don't use that terminology. We use fertilization. And he began to talk to me, and that's what's on the wall there at the Creation. I thought, man, if our school children could go and they could see. This is what happens at the moment, the spark of light.
The spark of light,
it happens at the moment of fertilization, and we begin to teach our children again to value life, that life is precious, from fertilization to natural death. Then we begin to change the conversation in the country.
Heidi, how some people say, the government shouldn't be involved in abortion. My response to that is the government gets too involved in abortion when it pretends to have the authority to draw the line about when human life gets protected. You don't have that authority. As soon as that's a human life, that life deserves protection. Absolutely. It's not up to the government to say that some human beings are not human persons. That's the stuff of which Holocausts are made.
Absolutely true.
Governments say if some people are not persons, stop making that distinction. Let's protect everybody.
That's right. And really, this is a Holocaust.
It really is.
What is happening to our unborn is a Holocaust. What do you say to people who are kind of sitting on the fence and like, should I get involved in what's the best way for the ordinary citizen? I mean, this is the huge thrust of my show and has been for 8 years.
Yes.
Trying to let people put their arms around an issue, get involved, get off the bench, get onto the battlefield. Where do they start?
Well, recognize this. You can save someone's life today simply by speaking a word. People who talk about freedom of choice regarding abortion need to realize that the people getting abortions today are not doing it because of freedom of choice. They're doing it because they feel they have no freedom and no choice. They don't know that there are options. There are options. There are 4 times as many pregnancy centers across the U.S. as there are abortion facilities. You who are listening now, if you just were to tell somebody who might be thinking about an abortion, hey, go to pregnancycenters.org. Simple website, pregnancycenters.org. they'll be able to find the pregnancy center closest to them.
Yes.
And once they do that, they will have professional people, confidential care, whatever they need to give them the courage and strength to get through that pregnancy and help beyond the birth of the child as well. So this is one of the best ways to start. You know, you want to get off the fence. Realize it's not just about advocating for a cause or being part of a movement. Friends, just think of it this way. It's about saving a life. It's about speaking a word of hope into a world of despair. And because of that word of hope, someone can actually avoid that terrible mistake of abortion, which is not only going to end the life of that child, but is going to wound that woman for the rest of her life as well.
That's absolutely right. And you bring a message that is so clear. It's just a clarion call to people everywhere to say, hey, this matters. This is one of the defining issues of our generation. We've got to get this right. And now for the first time in 50 years, we actually have a chance to move the needle and really affect this incredible
We have more
issue.
power to make it right now than ever.
Yeah, we absolutely do. Father Frank Pavone, where can people find you online?
Fr Frank Pavone on all the social media platforms, Fr Frank Pavone. And our main website is endabortion.us.
endabortion.us. Thank you so
Thanks,
much for
Heidi.
joining me. What a pleasure.
God bless.
I hope you guys want more information on Father Frank Pavone and the work that he's doing. Listen, this is the chance that you've got. This is the opportunity. You want to strike while the iron's hot. Keep the conversations going. Keep the pressure up in your churches and join us in the fight to protect life from fertilization to natural death. Thank you guys for listening. I'll see you right back here again at the intersection of faith and culture.